here. Okay. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Northfield Township Board of Trustees regular meeting for May 11th, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. Next is the invocation. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and just ask that you give us wisdom and allow us to honor those that we represent and doing the best that we can as their elected representatives. We ask this all in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Now, let's get the flag going here. Now for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. Okay. Next is roll call, Miss Manley. Don't forget, guys, you got to state the city, the county, and the state that you're in.
Let's go with Moco.
Nate Moco, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Otto.
Jackie Otto, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan. Present.
Nelson.
Joshua Nelson, present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Manley, present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan. Check.
Janet Chick, present, Washtenaw County, Northfield Township, Michigan.
Zelenock.
Present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Dignan.
Present, Kissimmee, Osceola County, Florida.
Okay, all here.
Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes of the April 27th meeting. I'll make a motion to. Okay, go right ahead.
Approve the minutes.
All right, I'll support that. So motion by Nelson, supported by Dignan to approve the minutes of April 27th. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Manley, yes. Moco.
Yes.
Otto.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Zelenock.
Yes.
I probably will call you Devlin by the end of the day. That's what it's And Dignan.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. And I'm looking for, I don't believe she did not get the May minutes into the packet. So
No. I'll make a motion.
And I don't believe they were in the addendum.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to pend the approval of the minutes for May 4th. Special meeting.
I'll support.
So there's a motion to postpone the approval of the May 4th minutes till our next regular meeting. Any discussion on the motion? No. All those in favor can say aye on this one. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next is the consent agenda. I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Motion by Dignan, supported by Otto. Any discussion? Hearing none, Miss Man. Oh, go ahead, Miss Zelenock.
I'm good. So we pulled out Dan's stuff, so we're good.
Yes, we did.
All right.
Yep. Miss Manley, can you call the roll, please?
Three Willis's.
Yep. Zelenock.
Yes.
Manley, yes. Chick.
Yes.
Dignan.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Otto.
Yes.
Moco.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. Moving on to adopting the balance of the agenda. make a motion to adopt the balance of the agenda as presented. Is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Chick. Motion by Dignan. Discussion? Okay. Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Yep. Moko,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Chick,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. Next on the agenda is petitions and communications. This is a time when the public has a opportunity. This is the first opportunity they have to participate through public comment on items that are being deliberated this evening that are on the agenda. If there's anyone that would like to address the board, I'm going to start with Miss Devlin. But if there's anyone else that would like to address the board, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Miss Devlin, Mary, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Yeah,
I
you have 3 minutes.
understand that during the citizen comments, we are only allowed to speak regarding items on the agenda. Since we are not on the board, this has always been our venue to voice our concerns or on other items as well. And your new policy, I think, is wrong. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. And regarding the agenda, the supervisor's report is listed, but nowhere is it in the packet. Why is this? Is this a policy change or what? My last thing is I want to talk about is the North Village boundary delineation. One line that bothers me is this, and I quote, "The proposed delineation is based on the NVMP synthesis plan, but has been modified based on the spatial needs of the Livonia Builders," end quote. It sounds to me that more space means a portion of the 10-acre park will be removed for the convenience of Livonia Builders. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Zelenock. Okay. Are there any other members of the public that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to board member comments and clarifications. Ms. Devlin, I would like to address a couple of things. One, we have not removed citizen participation. We have just, this board meeting is a meeting of the board to do the township's business. And in doing so, we have 2 calls to the public. The first one is for items we're delineating or deliberating this evening. And the second call to the public is open to free form for anything anyone wishes to say at all. So they're welcome to do that. Supervisor's report, I try to get a written report into you, but honestly, I've been working 40 hours a week for the township since we got rid of our township manager. And that's in addition to my full-time job. I just haven't had time to give a written supervisor's report. So it'll be an oral report. But that's where I'm at. Any other clarifications from board members? Yes, Ms. Otto.
So I did want to address Mary making the statement that we made the change to accommodate Livonia Builders. Actually, we did not. The change was made back in March, and it was prior to us submitting for a grant for the trust fund grant with the DNR. The motion was made by the Board of Trustees to make the property 10 to 12 acres, and then it was adjusted to 11.3 due to easements. So that's how it came about.
Thank you, Ms. Otto.
And then there was a motion for us to have a committee to determine how are we going to break it up. So this is what came out of the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Otto. Ms. Chick?
Yep, I just want to confirm that as well, that actually the park space was the first consideration, and whatever was left over, if Livonia Builders wants to build on it, fine. If they don't, someone else can. But it was always the park that was the first consideration in the size of the areas. Thank you.
And just so folks know, there have not been any further communications with Livonia Builders in regards to that since we started that back in February when we were talking. So what was shared then is all that's happened since. So All right. Any other board members have any comments or clarifications? Seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, yes, Ms. Zelenock.
So I'd just like to say that I'm glad to see on the agenda that we'll be talking about the first call to the public. I think the first call to the public should be open, just like it has been since I've been in the township. As well as I think the terminology that was used in the park, when it does say for the spacious needs of Livonia Builders, that's what it does say in the packet. So if that's not the case, then I think that it was not phrased correctly, and it adds confusion to what's happening. And I think that, and I do think it's important that we do get, a supervisor's report. I think it's good for documentation and for future reference to have available. And Mr. Dignan, you are working 40 hours a week, so you must be doing a lot. I think you would like to let people know all the great stuff that you may be working on.
Well, the great majority of it is ordinance enforcement. I will tell you that right now. Ordinance enforcement is lovely.
Well,
and
that should be gone now. Don King started today.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I'm very excited about meeting and handing off everything having to do with that. So, and we have to give township manager. So we'll be talking about that. The supervisor's report, when it is oral, is a part of the minutes of the meeting. So it is documented for the future. But all right, anyone else? Any other board member clarifications? Seeing none, we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is correspondence. You will find in your packet the quarterly report of People's Express. I don't know if anyone has any comments on that. Yes, Ms. Chick.
I don't have any comments on that, except that I really appreciate People's Express and everything that they do. And their ridership is getting greater and greater. So it was certainly a worthy cause for us to support them in the past. But I do want to say that we did get some correspondence from some residents regarding the boundaries map that is not in the packet.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Next item on the agenda is 75 Barker Road update. Ms. Zelenock, would you like to give that update?
Sure. For some reason, I didn't realize I would have put it in writing. So we did meet with the attorneys. Mr. Moko, Mr. Dignan, and myself met with Michael J. and his attorney as well as ours. Things are to get a understanding, and we do expect that we'll have some more information around May 17th in that time frame, but we didn't schedule a follow-up meeting yet, but everyone wanted to work on different items. Mr. Devlin did send the survey that we had. So I think the original survey was done in what, I recall. So we do have that in possession, and we need to get that to Mr. Fink so he has that from, he can pass that on to the other parties.
Correct. And we do, the process does need to start with as each party goes through its due diligence, we're going to need to go through working with our planner to do the division of the property to decide exactly where that takes place. So I do believe that Chef Jay was going to file a zoning compliance form to make sure that everything was capable of being done there. All right. I don't think there's anything else on that. Any questions on 75 Barker? All right, seeing none. Next item is the North Community Park request for proposal update.
Yeah.
We have an oral update on that?
Yep, we sure do.
Great.
We have received 9 proposals. Out of the 9 proposals, I think there's either 2 or 3 that are out of state. The subcommittee for the Parks and Rec did a scoring document to score the proposals, so we could some reason why we're doing a selection. The objective is to select 3 out of the 9 proposals. to provide to the board. We were going to provide that on the 25th, and they probably will not be provided until the board meeting on June 8th. We are meeting this week starting Thursday, and we'll continue to meet weekly until we can narrow down the 3. Out of the proposals, all bids or budgets have been sealed, so we don't know what the costs are through our selection, and it won't be provided until we give it to the board on the 8th. We will be doing interviews with people that have submitted, and we will probably start those within the next 2 weeks. That has to do if we have any questions on their proposals. Ken, you're
okay. Thank you, Miss Otto. Any questions for Miss Otto? Thank you for all your guys' hard work on this. It's great to hear that we've had that many interested parties. Look forward to seeing the recommendations that you guys put forward.
I will say we have had some that we know and some that we don't know. And some that we were, as the Parks and Rec were hoping would submit, and they did. So.
Great. Excellent. All right. Anyone have any questions? All right. No further questions. We'll move on. So, Otto, we're going to stick with you or Miss Zelenock or Miss Manley on this one. So, job posting for a building inspector. Can we get the personnel committee to put forth a job posting for that? Go ahead.
Lenore or Kathy, do you want to speak up? I know Lenore and I touched on this a little bit today. One of the things that I would like to do is to see if we could put together the job description first, and then we could put out a job posting after that. But I would also like to look at, and I'm assuming that this would be for a part-time position. I would hope that we could also leverage other townships or other communities that have that surround us that may have either a full-time or part-time building inspector that they would be willing to share. Yep.
I think that's good. Miss Manley and then Miss Chick.
I say, yeah, it's something that definitely, I guess, personnel committee can start working on and discuss.
Okay. Excellent. Miss Chick.
Yeah, actually, that was my thought as well. Similar to Miss Otto's, that we should reach out to our surrounding communities and see if we can do something similar to what we were doing with Kurt and contract somebody, at least in the interim, because we need somebody like ASAP to do inspections and see what we can find. I know they're really, really busy right now because the housing market is going crazy and they're building up all around us. So I would imagine the inspectors are busy, but if they could give us some of their time until we can actually figure out, if we can get somebody hired.
Right. In the interim, if need be for a short period of time, McKenna does have those services available and within the scope of obviously additional billings, but they can provide those services on an as-needed basis while we are in the interim if we so need that. So, all right. Anything else on the building inspector? All right. The next item on your agenda is your 2021-2022 liability insurance renewal. I had the opportunity to meet with these folks and look things over. And right now, the insurance companies that are out there are not willing to do a multi-year agreement, or I shouldn't say that. What he said basically is the costs of a multi-year program are very poor right now. There's a lot of risk out there, and what they're doing is looking at the risk pool that we are looking at and providing us an estimate of what we would be looking at for a 1-year extension. And also at the same time, that extension, we don't know what our rebates will be because we don't know what kind of changes we're going to have over the course of this next year. Those rebates come back to you based on your, you get rid of 3 vehicles, you buy another vehicle, you change this property, you add that property. 75 Barker Road will be going off of our rolls, but we'll continue to keep the parking lot. So what's that going to do to our premium and stuff because it's not just our liability, it's really property and liability. So what I would recommend is that we enter into a 1-year agreement as outlined within the document that's been provided. And that we proceed with I'll make a motion to extend our liability insurance policy for 1 year and to prepare an RFP for next year to see if we can secure a longer term policy arrangement based on the market.
I will support with the added dates in there from July.
Yeah, as provided. So July of 2021 to June 30th of 2022.
Yeah.
All right. Motion is by Dignan, supported by Otto. Discussion. Yes, Ms. Zelenock.
So the copy that we received, like through the hard copy, doesn't show the changes. Can you highlight those?
It was just a percentage change. That's all it was. So as far as they had a premium percentage bump of, I believe it was 4%. Let me see. Hang on. I'm looking at my notes. And that is all. That's the only thing they changed in it.
So did they change anything?
Premium.
Did they change anything like on page 14? Did they increase the limits on the treasurer? I know we had talked about that. Did we really have the front desk person covered because that position does cash receipting?
Yes. Well, and the thing is the individuals who are listed individually are required to be listed individually, but the policy itself covers all township employees. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I'm trying to pull the page up. Just hang on a second. I usually have a printed copy in front of me, but
yeah. So did you indicate that the premiums went up? Is that correct?
Yes.
4%?
That was the discussion that we had said that would be the estimate. Okay. It would, but again, you can't tell you exactly what it's going to be because of the ebb and flow of our property and our vehicles, or all property that we own, not just real estate.
So if we were to,
but our risk, the thing is we're carrying over our risk assessment from the past 3 years, which is actually beneficial to us.
Right.
That is one thing that, but they weren't willing to do a 3-year or longer risk assessment. And you'll see it listed out, everything that we own in there. And right. It's it's really quite a comprehensive list of things. When you start putting it together, you realize the immense amount of assets the township does hold.
Oh, yeah.
So
who updates the assets?
A couple of people. They're done by department heads. Township manager Jennifer does some updating of it. When we change out systems, when you're talking about like electronic data systems such as phones or copiers and things like that staff. When you're talking about assets that are capitalized, then that typically then would come from the controller. And that's where that communication takes place. The police department adds and removes its own equipment is what I understood. And the chief can, if the chief is on, he can state if there's anything different than that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make
Chief,
sure.
yeah, Chief, on the insurance policy, do you guys handle all of your removal and addition of equipment and assets?
Yeah, so like vehicles, as vehicles come and go, we, through Jennifer, update that. And then it seems like every year I get a little questionnaire as to anything new, or do you still have this particular equipment that I'm sure you're looking at on that list there.
So I just wanted to make sure we do have a procedure in place so that we are updating as appropriate. We buy new equipment, we get rid of equipment, that we contact our insurance company and get it either added or removed.
Yes, and I do know that Jennifer is doing that, but the controller's involved too, especially when anytime we're removing equipment that was capitalized or otherwise dealt with. The one thing that they did say is next year we will be looking at insuring the tank for the wastewater treatment plant, and those kinds of things. So when we go out for a proposal next year, it's going to be very important that we anticipate the assets that we're going to have so that it can be properly bid. And you don't get an underbid that then hits you when you add something like that on. So.
Okay, so did you find that? I mean, did they make any changes? I thought the treasurer, they kind of highlighted that. I don't know if that actually was changed from the past.
If I remember correctly, I'm looking right now.
I just want to make sure everybody is properly insured that is handling cash in the office.
Correct. And you are bonded at the level required by law.
Okay. Right.
As is the deputy, as is the clerk, and myself, and deputy clerk.
And so the total premium is $119,445. Is that correct?
Before rebates, yes.
Okay. Doesn't seem like we have any rebates, but there could be some rebates.
Well, it says no, but if you look at years previous,
right.
We had 2,300 in rebates, 4,300, 12,000 in rebates. And there will be some, he said, but you just don't know what those rebates and dividend earnings will be until they happen. So
can we can we make another friendly amendment and put with the estimated premium cost of
$19,445
without any rebates at this time?
Correct, without any what they call par plan dividends.
Without any par plan dividends. So I'd like to make that friendly amendment so that it is noted in our minutes.
I'll support that amendment. So there's an amendment to include in the motion the dollar amount of $119,445 before any par plan dividends would be applied to the premium. That is moved by Zelenock and supported by myself, Dignan. Any questions on the amendment? Yes, Ms. Chick.
Would there be any instances or any occurrences that would change that amount?
As far as it going up?
Either way, yeah.
There certainly could if they were not offset by par plan dividends. If so, that would have to be brought back to the board. But I mean, certainly if we as a township were to add a very large asset to our plan that would not be offset by other reductions, it certainly could.
Yes. Right. So my question is, we're voting or motioning or voting on an amount. Do we want to, if it's going to change, do we have to come back and change the amount again by motion?
I think we would absolutely have to.
Okay.
And unless it was within the discretionary amount of the township manager that we hire in the future.
Okay.
If it's within their discretionary amount, they can sign off on up to $5,000.
Okay.
If that's what we choose to continue to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on the amendment? Seeing none, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Zelenock,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Check,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, and now call the question. Are there any other questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll on the actual motion, please?
Manley, yes. Otto,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Check,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Dignan.
Yes.
I think that was everybody. 7-0.
All right, next item on the agenda is under new business. It's consideration of consider establishment of park boundaries for Northfield Community Park, North Village.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the map delineated by the North Village Boundary Committee as presented in your packet.
I'll support.
It's a motion by Chick, supported by Otto. Discussion on the motion.
I have some questions.
Sure, Ms. Zelenock.
So it does look like we changed some of the commercial property, correct, into residential? Right on Main Street, is that correct? That at one point it was defined as it was going to be commercial?
It's not different than the synthesis plan, and we had not voted on any other plan after that. So it's as it was in the synthesis plan.
So do we think also that when the, the park planners come, that it might be, they might decide that we shouldn't have parking on lakefront property?
I don't know. That's probably Miss Otto's purview there. I would imagine they're going to be as close to the map as we've chosen, but if there's issues with whatever they see is needed, I'm sure they're going to have their own design for the park area.
Well, and is this a delineation of just the park area?
It's all of it.
Meaning,
yeah.
Okay, so this is a delineation that the other area must be entirely what is delineated as well. It's not just, this is a delineation of the site area that's going to be park as
The
an
whole
absolute.
23 acres. It's the whole 23 acres.
So it's a delineation of all the commercial, all the park, and all of the residential.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Miss Otto?
So just to answer Lenore's question, this map was provided in our grant application to DNR with the greens in the middle and the parking on the side. That can change at any point. It doesn't. They may decide that no, we need to have parking in different areas, or they can propose it. The only thing that DNR requires is that it's ADA compliant. No, if you're going to change something, it has to be ADA compliant.
And then if I can ask, well, I would.
Sure.
It said it's been slightly modified based on the spatial needs of Livonia Builders. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that. And I think that was not from us, that was from the planner. It's her terminology. I believe what she was speaking to was in the synthesis plan. If you look, it has all of the residential along the back of the property. And in speaking to the developer, they indicated that it's really hard to do just one row of housing. So we flipped it around so that he could get 2 rows of housing in within the acreage that was left over. And that would be what the spatial consideration.
So I guess the planner's been talking to Livonia Builders then?
No, not that. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the builder had indicated that very early on, that a single row of houses doubles the cost of the infrastructure of the house, which is pretty normal. runs the same. It costs the same amount of money to run whatever services and utilities need to run down one street for two houses on one on each side as it does for one on one side. So that makes sense.
Yeah, the goal of the Boundaries Committee was to make a good aesthetic design that was beneficial for everybody. With parks being number one. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shute.
Yeah. Do we, are we committed then to selling off the, what is it, 10.3 acres?
I think we always have. I don't know.
We always have. The board has moved that the park was only 10 to 12.
Yeah.
And so we also made a motion that we would have a town hall meeting back in March 17th, 2020, that we would have that, and that 4 of the present boards were on that board at that time. So do we plan on doing that?
We do plan on having a public hearing for after a park designer is selected, so we could have a visionary session and everything. Other than that, if the board can decide if they want to have a town hall meeting. I know that was another board. This is a new board that wasn't brought forward with the new board.
It was.
So it was?
Yeah, and actually, if I recall, not too long ago, or in the very beginning, before we even came up with this map, was that we decided that the Parks and Rec was going to hold, if the town hall was to be held, the Parks and Rec would hold it.
At a time they deemed appropriate.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would be when we hire a park designer.
Yes.
Correct. Let me go to Mr. Nelson, then I can come back if anyone. Mr. Nelson, go ahead.
Well, I did just have one question. You said that everything on this map will be delineated as such. I'm just looking at the beach. I myself am not really I think that's probably a good idea, but we haven't really looked into the cost much. I remember I brought this up. I think it was one of the January meeting when we actually talked about the town hall. I just wanted to look in before, because if everything on this paper is delineated as such, would that mean like we would have to fully invest into a beach there as well? Or that's subject to change?
I think it depends. Don, I know that with the grants we've applied for, what's included in the grant is what has to be done. I don't believe a beach was included in the grant. Am I correct, Ms. Otto?
You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
we did not even approach that part at all, only because Eagle has to be a part of that whole planning process. And at the time, we did not even meet with them. So that whole application with Eagle would take longer than what we did currently. It would always take 2 years for us to get to a point where we could apply for a grant for that beach.
Yeah, right. I was just worried because I saw it on there and I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, it is the difference between, we can go out for an RFP and this is what we're going to look at future use of. And when we go for that, anytime we go for grant money, I remember sitting in that DNR meeting, anytime you put it on a grant application, you have to do it. You don't have to necessarily do it exactly where it was, but you do have to do it if you're receive that grant. So, all right. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Ms. Zelenock, did you have anything else?
Has the Parks and Rec seen this plan?
Yes.
So the Parks and Rec board has seen it, or the committee or commission? I don't know. Are they a committee or commission? Or are they a board?
They're a board.
Okay. So they have seen it. They have seen it, and did they have any comments on it? Because you said something about we don't have the minutes from that meeting. Is that correct?
Well, they don't have to approve it. They've seen it based on the application that we did for the DNR trust fund. I
just don't recall seeing any comments from them at all. I mean, just in general. I agree they don't have to approve it, but I don't recall seeing any comments from them.
Yeah, but they have looked at it. Are making they're making some recommendations for this year based on what is available. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Moko.
I just wanted to throw it out there that as part of the committee tasked with drawing up property lines, boundary lines for this, the board voted to provide 10 to 12 acres for the park. That's exactly what we did, and we tried to do it in the best, most sensible way possible.
All right. Yes, Mr. Nelson.
I did want to thank the people for putting this together. It's actually really good, regardless if this moves forward or not, that we actually have stuff on the table to talk about with this. I'm really happy that a solid plan has been put forward. Just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you.
Yep, definitely. All right. Is there any further discussion, or shall we call the question? Ms. Manley, will you call the roll, please?
Nelson,
Yes.
Check,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Moko,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
7-0.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda was added via an addendum, and it was consideration of the wastewater treatment plant's request to replace a skimmer arm and trough on setting tanks at a cost not to exceed $23,555. And Mr. Willis is present. Welcome, Mr. Willis.
Hi.
So
I lost my vision.
that's all right. We've got you. We can see you.
Yep.
So are these things just out of, is it kind of routine maintenance, or they broke?
Just stuff that's deteriorated over the years. The skimmer arms have got an I-beam that's 10, 12 foot long. It's got one on the bottom that skims the bottom, and then we've got one on the top that skims the top. And the one on top is exposed to air, and it's kind of rotted over the years. So it needs to be replaced. It's got holes in it. We want to get it before it actually breaks apart and falls into the tank or something. It's not really working as good as it should right now, too.
And are these contained within your budget?
Yes, they are. We have 3 different ones. One was replaced a few years back, and the company that replaced that one gave us the price of the $25,000 to do the other ones at $25,000 each. So I got prices for the parts from the manufacturer, and that's where we came up with that lower price. It looks like something we can do.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for the wastewater treatment plant to replace the skimmer arms at a cost not to exceed $23,555.
I'll support.
Okay, it's a motion by Dignan, supported by Moko. Any questions on the motion? Ms. Zelenock?
So does that also include the scum trough for a total of
Yes.
$4,500?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, sorry. That was my intent as well.
Okay, can we add that to in
Yes, skimmer arm and scum trough.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on the motion? Ms. Manley, will you call the roll, please?
Moko,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Check,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
7-0.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the wastewater treatment plant's request to replace the grip pump at a cost not to exceed $18,320.
For
Also,
Okay. Motion by Dignan. Was that support by Zelenock?
correct.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Otto?
Could we also put in there that it excludes labor costs so we understand that we're installing it ourselves?
Mr. Willis, is that the case also with the grip
Yes,
pump?
that's the case also.
Okay. I am happy to restate that motion, that it is a motion to approve the wastewater treatment plant's request to replace the grip pump at a cost not to exceed $18,320, with the understanding labor will be provided by staff of the wastewater treatment plant. Ms. Zelenock, do I still have your support on that motion?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Yep. Nelson,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
Check,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Manley, yes.
Okay. Next item
Thank
on
you.
the agenda. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Willis.
Okay, Dan.
Thanks for everything you guys do. All right. Next item on the agenda is a request from Jennifer in the office. It's in regards to our lease that's expiring on our mail machine. And she had included the lease renewal in there. I know that she did reach out to others. There's a cost comparison there from Pitney Bowes as well. I know it's a modest increase over the previous year.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just make a motion that we renew our current lease with Quadrant for an additional 5 years at a monthly cost of $159.86. This would be an increase of $19.74 per month, or $236.88 per year.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Zelenock, supported by Nelson. Any discussion? Ms. Otto?
Could we also include in that maintenance, that maintenance is included?
I accept that.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fine. Mr. Moko?
I appreciate that Jennifer went and got other quotes, but why would this come before the board? It's a cost of doing business. I mean, I'm just wondering, it seems like such a tiny thing. If department heads have $5,000 before they can make a, township manager has which we don't have, as $5,000 leeway. Why are we going through the motions on this? Just a question.
Well, she had approached me on this. I felt since we didn't have a township manager and it was a contract, that it'd be the board that decided. It is a longer term contract. I would think that a township manager would address this, and it would simply be a line item in his report to us as a board.
Fair enough.
Jennifer asked, and I thought it better to bring it before you than not. So, all right. Yes, Ms. Zelenock.
You may have brought this up, Mr. Dignan, but it just says again that the other company was currently on back order.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's going to be slightly less. It was on back order. And we certainly do use our postage machine an awful lot.
And the equipment there were feature sets that we were accustomed to that were missing from the competitor as well. So
thanks for noting that as well, Mr. Dignan.
Yep, absolutely. Miss Manley? Oh, yep. I'm sorry, Miss Otto, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that starting in June, the U.S. Postal fees will increase.
Yep. Thank you.
So if we don't have that increase in our budget for 2022, we may want to consider it.
I think that's important for definitely for wastewater treatment plant and taxes and assessments.
Yep.
Sewer bills.
Sewer bills.
Sewer bills. Yeah.
So it'd be nice if we could go to an automated billing system for sewer, where people could sign up for auto pay online. But anyway, I'm sorry, I got off subject. So postage machine. All right. Any other questions on the postage machine? Miss Manley, will you call the roll, please?
Yep. Manley, yes. Check,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Otto,
Call Otto?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
7-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the hiring of April Lantinen as a part-time clerical assistant elections. Miss Manley?
Yeah, I'd like to put a motion to hire April Lantinen as clerical assistant and election help for starting pay of $18 an hour, salary not to surpass $28,000 a year.
I'll support.
Motion by Manley, supported by Chick. Okay, do we know how many hours you'd be utilizing her at this point, or is this more around if when elections come up, or?
Yeah, like in the memo, it says basically we're going to start 20 to 28 hours and then closer to the elections, probably 40 hours a week, the 2 weeks leading up to the election.
Okay.
And we are budgeted already for this year.
Okay. And is that 28,000 just in wages, or is that in all labor or all costs associated with that individual?
Salary not to surpass 28, so hourly.
So it's just wages. Just wages.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. There's a motion and support. Ms. Chick, go ahead. And Ms. Zelenock.
Ms. Manley, is that rate of $18 an hour, is that comparable to when Stacy started as an election specialist?
Yes. And my goal is with April not to just do elections, to also be Christina's backup, to learn payroll, to learn sewer bills. We need to have a plan of action in case anything does happen. Every position needs to be backed up. And I will be following up with that, and I will be making sure that that happens.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Chick. Ms. Zelenock?
All right.
Ms. Manley, Cleric Manley just answered my question. I just wanted to make sure she would ensure that all positions of the current duties of the clerk, which include sewer billing as well as payroll, is learned by this person. Unfortunately, that did not happen with the last person who was in the position for 21 months. So I just want to make sure that there will be follow-up and make sure that that does happen.
Yeah, cross-training is critically important. I mean, also, do we have anyone cross-trained right now on payables? I know that payables is right now handled through the administrative assistant to the township manager, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's a role that falls underneath the duties of the clerk's office, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered, we don't have anyone cross-trained on that right now either, do we? So obviously when opportunities arise to cross-train, it could be beneficial to do that as well.
For sure.
All right. Anyone else have any questions in regards to the request? All right. Seeing none, Ms. Manley, call the roll, please.
Moko,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Manley, yes.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Next item on the agenda is consideration for a recommendation to appoint Kristen Delaney to the Downtown Development Authority, the term expiring June 30th, 2024. I'll make that motion. All right, supported by Otto. Any discussion on the motion? All right.
I do.
Yes, Ms. Zelenock.
So what's the ratio now between people like in downtown or have businesses downtown versus residents? And how many members will this now?
We are still one member short from business owners. She's filling one of the two vacancies for business owners. And then I have to look and see where the residential ratio is. Because right now the only seat we have open after her is one more business owner seat. Those are the only open seats we have. So, and a business owner it just has to be own business property in the DDA district.
Okay, great.
So, yep. For those of you that may not know, Miss Delaney does own the old post office. That was the, the most recently was an insurance agent. Yep. Right next. It's, I think, 2 doors down from Harbor Cove.
Yep.
So, and they've renovated inside there and have a nice tenant coming in. So
Great.
very excited about that.
And one other question, Mr. Dignan.
Sure. That's all.
So is it our policy to include applications and resumes, not include them? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
No, they should absolutely. Did it not get included in this one?
No, they did.
No.
So we didn't include the clerk.
So
I was just wondering, what's the policy?
that's a good question. Her DDA application should have been included. I apologize that it didn't.
Nope. That's not. Nope. Her DDA application was very extensive. Her resume was very extensive. It's just that we didn't, have one for the clerk assistant. So I was just wondering, does the policy?
I'm sorry. Miss Manley.
Policy.
Yeah, April requested for her file not to be public information. It was sent out to the board, and it is in her file if anybody wants to look at it.
Okay. She does understand that is subject to FOIA, though, correct?
Sure.
It is. Okay.
And she does have the right to have that request.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Sorry. All right. There's a motion on the floor for the appointment of Kristen Delaney. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Miss Manley, will you call the roll, please?
Yep. Manley, yes. Chick,
Yes, very happy to have her.
Moko,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes, most definitely.
Dignan,
Absolutely.
Nelson,
Sincere yes.
Zelenock.
A resounding yes. Glad to have her.
For those of you that don't know, she did a lot of community development in South Lyon in the past, and it's very exciting to have her on board. And she did participate in the last DDA meeting and is excited to hit the ground running. And she has a lot of exciting stuff going on in her life right now. So we wish her the best, and we're glad to have her. So, all right. The next is a consideration for the appointment of Judith Moldenhauer to the Land Preservation Committee, replacing Julia Henshaw, a term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Is that a motion, Mr. Dignan?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Supported by motion by Dignan, supported by Zelenock. Discussion on the motion.
I would just
Ms.
like to
Chick?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Zelenock, and then Ms. Chick.
No, Ms. Chick first. Sorry, I didn't.
Go ahead, Ms. Chick.
Yeah, I'm very happy Ms. Moldenhauer has put in her application for this position, but I'm very sorry to see Julia go too. She's a wonderful person, and I really appreciated her time on the Land Preservation Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Chick. Ms. Zelenock, did you have something?
Basically, what I was going to say, Julia Henshaw has been one of the original members of the LPC, and we thank her for her service and outstanding contribution. She was extremely instrumental in arranging our hikes. The one that's coming up on May 22nd. She worked with Washtenaw County to get it so that we would have someone to take us through from the county. So she has done, and we will miss her.
Okay.
Done a great job.
You know, these folks that serve on all of these commissions, the DDA, the Land Preservation, Parks and Rec, they're all volunteers. They do not get paid. They do not only the work of their commissioner board, but they do the grunt work that's involved in making things happen that fall under the purview of their prospective committees. And, we're very grateful to them. And I hope the citizens out there that run across these folks thank them for their service. It's much appreciated. So, all right. If there's no other comments or questions, Ms. Manley, can you call the roll, please?
Yep. Zelenock,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Manley. Yes. Getting late. Okay.
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
7-0.
That was good.
Can I designate this
Thank-
duty to someone?
Thanks, guys.
Afraid not.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the amend the effective date for fiscal year 2021-2022 non-union raises. Ms. Manley, did you want to address this?
Sure. Basically, just because of the way the payroll falls, I'm just looking to put a motion to amend the raises to start on July 9th, 2021 for that payroll period.
Is that a motion, Miss Manley?
Yes, it is.
I'll support.
Thank you.
Motion by Manley, supported by Zelenock. Makes sense not to cut a payroll period in half,
Right.
if possible. What's the impact to the individuals who would be getting these raises? I guess that's my only question. Is our effective date was actually July 1, and now we're making it effective for the pay period July 9th, or
First pay in July.
Okay, so the first pay in July is actually for the last week of June and the first week of July. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
I would say yes.
So the effective date of their rate would actually go into effect on the pay date. Not the pay date, but the work date for the first pay period that ends in July.
Confusing.
It is a little bit confusing, but the reason I'm saying this is,
I know.
Right. I know what you're saying.
these folks deserve to get their
Right.
raise rate at least July 1. I'm comfortable saying that it would be, I mean, look at a calendar.
Mhm.
If it was a few days beforehand to meet that, I as one individual board member am okay with that. But you said it's a July 9th pay date. And I'm assuming.
So actually they are.
What's the pay period for that then?
It would be from the 20th to the 2nd for that pay period.
From June?
They are benefiting by getting the raise on the 9th.
Well, hang on. The raise would take effect July 1.
Right.
But we're saying that the raise should take effect the first pay period, the first date of the pay period for the pay of the 9th.
But we don't want them to lose money.
In that it's being paid out for the payroll on the 9th.
Yes.
So that pay period.
That's the 28th. Isn't that the 28th?
No. They get paid 2 weeks. So it would be the 20th, the week of the 20th through the 3rd of July.
Okay, Ms. Manley.
So I just got a note from Yvette. It says it has to go through the payroll following the fiscal year.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
that would be it.
That would be it.
July 9th.
Yeah. So it would benefit them if they got it on July 9th.
For the July 9th pay period. So the July 9th check will reflect the new rate. Is that a correct statement?
Maybe we should get some more information so we know.
Yeah.
Because here's what I think. I'm looking up a period begin date. It would start on 6/26.
Hang on one second. Miss Starbuck is actually on with us. Okay. I'm going to promote her to panelist.
She can help because they're
thanks, Yvette.
Hi, Miss Starbuck.
Hi, everybody. So the policy that we approved or that the board approved in the past was for the first pay period after the start of the fiscal year, we would reflect the raises. So there would be some overlap for the fiscal year, which we would do an adjustment during the audit to make sure everything's allocated properly. Does that make sense?
Yep. So what what would our motion then be? Now, I want to make sure the motion's said properly then to make the effective date proper. So is it effective date of the first work day that they get their new rate, or is it the first pay period date that they receive a check?
Right. So I think it should say something like effective for the first payroll of the new fiscal year.
Okay. All right. Ms. Manley, would you like to restate your motion? Withdraw your original motion and restate it to say the first pay period effective in the new fiscal year?
First payroll.
First payroll.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will rescind my previous motion and then ask for a motion for pay increases to start effective the first payroll in July of 2021.
So still support.
Excellent. And Ms. Zelenock, your support still stands?
Yes.
Excellent.
Basically, it'll be that they'll get the increase starting 6/26.
Probably, yeah. That sounds right.
Goes through 7/9 with the paycheck on 7/23, I think.
Yes.
So
our controller gave me a 2 thumbs up, so I think
Okay.
we've got the right motion, and there we go.
All right, very good.
All right. If there are no other questions, we'll ask Ms. Manley to call the roll.
Manley, yes. Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
and Moko.
Yes.
7-0.
All right. Next item on the agenda is discussion item under new business. It is a review of the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget for police, fire, building grounds, and DDA. Ms. Starbuck, go ahead.
Okay.
So the agenda is actually wrong.
Well, yeah, it's not for all that.
Okay. So what we have in the agenda is we're reviewing the wastewater budgets, the building department, our 2 bond departments, our 2 bond funds. So you have all of that in the packet. Lenore did send me some questions the other day. So just before we get started, I wanted to address those. One of the big questions was about Barker Road, because I didn't budget anything for next year because I wasn't sure what the fate of Barker Road would be. But Lenore made a suggestion that we move all of the expenses that have been in the general fund to the Barker Road account and use the fund balance there to pay off those expenses, which would be, there's about $11,700 fund balance there right now. And we do pay taxes out of the general fund, property taxes. And we have had utilities come out of the general fund as well, because when we had renters, we still pay the utilities, and that's just always how they have been paid. So that's a motion that someone can maybe consider making later on. And then the second major comment that Lenore had was about the sewer basin. I did not have the breakdown from Benzinski that shows each itemized item that we would be paying for the construction. I just knew the total of the construction. So I kind of lumped it in, but I can adjust it, but the numbers are correct. The bottom line's not going to change. It will just change how it's itemized. So hopefully that kind of addresses the majority. I'm sure, Lenore, if you want to speak to the rest of your questions, you can, and any other questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Starbuck. Ms. Zelenock?
So I do recommend that we do keep the Barker rental fund, even though it may not be a rental fund, to put in the sale of 75 Barker, as well as any expenses associated with 75 Barker sale. And then, as Ms. Starbuck has indicated, the property tax, utilities and all that, so that we really have that easily defined. So that would be my recommendation, is that we do that. And that we estimate that, the sale is going to be for what, 81,250. And then that highlights everything. And that also will not put us into a negative fund balance for this coming year, and then the property taxes. So we need to make a motion. I can certainly make a motion that we keep the Barker rental fund and show all the cost and revenue associated with the 75 Barker, as well as any of the ongoing reoccurring cost.
I would support that motion. We also do have the earnest money that will be coming into that account.
Right. That's good point.
Which that's just about resolved. So, all right, Miss Chick.
Are you talking about the earnest money from the previous offer? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yep, that's about resolved. So, Miss Starbuck.
Just curious, how much is that?
We should see $4,500.
Okay, and then just a comment on what Lenore said. I think it's fine to keep that fund going. I think the motion would be to move all of those expenses that had been paid in the general fund, just so that's clear. Does that make sense? And then also the timing of the sale is going to be really important, because we can't spend more than what's there before we get the profits of the sale. So we have to really watch the end of our fiscal year, or we could get ourselves in trouble, since we're using a fund that has very limited resources to pay these things, and we don't really have income coming in until the sale is finalized.
So what would we do with that, Ms. Starbuck? Because I think we could have issues with that, because I do believe the utilities and property taxes would probably take us over the current fund balance.
We can make a motion to fund it from the general fund, to just transfer a lump sum from the general fund until the sale is completed, and then reimburse the general fund.
Okay, so how many motions do we need here, Ms. Starbuck?
I mean, that's up to you.
One really well worded one.
So how about this? I think, would it be okay to bring back, we are going to bring another budget back. Can we bring back the 75 Barker budget back, and then have all these motions prepared if the board would like to retain the 75 Barker fund?
Yeah, I think that the second motion to transfer money from the general fund would be unnecessary if we put it in the budget. So and I don't know if a motion is needed, but I was going to suggest that we do make motions and keep track of them when we make these different funding decisions, because they're a little bit easier for me to track. But the original motion would be that all the expenses from the general fund come over to 75 Barker. And that would need a motion, because it would change how we're currently doing it.
So again, I think my real thought is, does the board agree that we should keep the 75 Barker fund basic and track all the costs, as well as the sale of 75 Barker?
To me, that makes sense. I don't know how other board members feel.
And that would be the motion, is to keep 75 Barker fund, to track all the expenses, including the sale and the expenses for the sale. And then I would actually like to work with Ms. Starbuck and get the rest of the motions set up so that we can come back and have that, as opposed to trying to do it right here.
Sounds good.
So have you made that motion? And I'll support it.
Yep, I made the motion, right?
All right. Yep, and I just supported it.
Okay.
All right. So the motion is to continue the 75 Barker Road Fund, and to allocate all expenses and income to that fund moving forward. And those will be delineated at further motions at a later date. All right. Any discussion on it or questions? Seeing none, Miss Manley, will you call the roll?
Chick,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Zelenock,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Moco,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
7-0.
All right. Next. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Starbuck. We appreciate you taking part, being here.
Are there any other questions on these budgets?
So I had one that on the building department, the hospitalization looked high. So Mr. Starbuck thinks it is high, so it should be adjusted at the next budget, correct? That's my understanding. And then my thought is on the building permits and that's Fund 287 Building Department, the revenue, the building permits. It seems lower than we have in our actuals. And so I was thinking that we should move that up. And I know that we increased, right, the review process or the fees for that. If I recall on some linear footage, I can't recall if it went from $5 to $8. So I would expect that, that maybe that building fee could go up to $45,000.
And I'm happy to make that adjustment. The building
From
department.
35? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to make that adjustment. I guess I was expecting that we probably will have some amendments down the road on the building department. So I was kind of waiting to see, but that's not necessarily related to Lenore's question. So I'm happy to do that change now. I just expected that we'll be making some changes. So.
Yep. So like if we look at page 9, so it's on page 9 of 26. So if we look at the 1920 activity, it was 46,000. I'm just going to round. And then the 2021 activity was, so far it's been 55,000 and we have a budget of 35. So I was thinking a budget of 45 might be good. Because I know we always have, concerns on the building department. Because if you look at the fund balance with the current budget, it's going to be at 18,000. So,
yeah, that department's in trouble. So, I mean, we're going to need more than a $10,000 change there. But
we'll make it through this year. But you're right. We've talked about, does our fee structure represent our cost? And as we eat into our fund balance, it's telling us that's probably not the case.
Right.
So I'd like to make
So what area are we increasing?
It's on page 9 of 26.
Yeah, it's 80 or 287 000 485.
Yeah, some building fees from 35,000 to 45,000.
45,000.
With a recommendation.
Right. Because we're tracking at 55 for this year.
And then we would expect the hospitalization to come down from the 20,000 as well. Now, Ms. Starbuck's going to look at that. I don't know what the amount might be.
yeah, I will have those edits at the next meeting. So at the next meeting, we'll have police, fire, building grounds, and then I can make the edits requested for building and wastewater treatment. And then we'll have the final, actually the 525 meeting, we won't have it, but maybe a special meeting, it sounds like. But our final budgets will be presented on June 11th.
Okay.
So do we need motions? Do we need agreement on those changes? Or are we good with them? How do you want to proceed?
I don't think you need motions because this is just a draft. I've made notes. So I'm happy. I think the suggestions are reasonable. But if anybody has other suggestions, please let me know.
Mr. Wagner, did you have something?
Yeah, I do. Real quick question for Yvette. On the 370 fund, the PSB debt fund, this 260,000, is that the last payment that we need to make? Oh, okay. So currently in that fund, there's around $30,000 in the fund balance. Should we utilize that as part of the last payment?
So I just talked to our auditors about this, and I had a quick conversation with Emily. We haven't gotten around to talking to Lenore about it yet, but we have two funds where we have millages, but we are ending up with a fund balance. One is the North Territorial Sewer, and the other one is this fund. And so we have to speak with the lawyers to find out what we can do with that money and how that works. In this fund, it's because of the personal property tax reimbursement, and the auditors were not sure what we are legally allowed to do with that money.
Okay, thank you.
So Yvette,
yes.
So are you saying that we might be over in our fund balance or under in our fund balance because we paid too much into it, or under because we don't have enough? I
So,
need to know.
in this fund, we're over because we were getting this extra money from the state. And so
Okay.
maybe we're supposed to be using it toward the building and we just didn't realize it. So that's part of the question is we're not sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Zelenock.
Oh, sorry.
So it's
You're okay.
my understanding is what happened was they reduced the personal property tax. And when they reduced the personal property tax, they created this LCSA. Did I get that correct? And then you have to apply the LCSA to millages. And it's based on the percentage of millages.
Correct.
And so this is a millage, but yet it's the bond payment. And so I think that's that's how come we're getting the overage. And it's fairly new. I think they changed the personal property tax maybe 3 years ago about the percentage and the amount. So it's still working away of how to handle it, as Ms. Starbuck said with the auditors, because of how the state said we needed to allocate the money. And now it's created an excess fund balance. I guess that's better than a deficit fund balance. So it's just what we do with it and how we do it. And the North Territorial Sewer, the SAD district, we'll have to talk to the auditors on that, because of depreciation and maybe some repairs, got to keep some of the money. It's just a matter of how much and how long.
And the auditors want us to talk to the lawyers, just so you know.
Yeah, okay.
Chief.
All right.
Real quick,
Mr. Wagner.
So this isn't the millage though, is it? Isn't this the $3.5 million that the township borrowed that now we split 3 ways in the township?
No, that's 369.
Okay. All right. That's why I'm confused. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep,
they're
no problem.
close. Yep.
All right. Ms. Starbuck, do you have everything that you need from us?
Yeah, I think so. So just knowing when we'll have that next meeting to go over the remaining budgets before the public hearing is going to be important. Do we have
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Very
All right.
good. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Anybody else have any
Thank you,
questions or
Eva.
concerns in regards to this? No? Okay. In that case, we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is a discussion of the second call or the reserved public comment on the agenda.
I'd just like to make a motion. The first call to the public is open, and the public can comment about anything they would like. The time limit is 3 minutes per person.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Zelenock, supported by Manley. I personally object greatly to that motion. I absolutely will not support that motion. Our meeting is a meeting in public to conduct the township's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. The law dictates and defines where we allow public comment, and that is at the end of the meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Any public comment beyond that is a discretionary public comment that is allowed by boards all throughout communities of the state of Michigan. And much like the boards around us, our neighboring townships, our neighboring governmental agencies that are not townships, a reserved call to the public is something that is very common. It's to give the public an opportunity, a second opportunity to address the board on subject matters that the board is going to be deliberating that evening. It's very important, I think, that the public participate, and the public has that opportunity to participate. By no means does a reserved public comment section deprive the public of anything at all. What it does is it allows us to do our jobs as elected officials, and that is to run the township and to do the township's business. That's all I have to say on that. I will absolutely not be supporting this motion. Ms. Chick and then Mr. Nelson.
Oh, did we get a support on the first motion?
Yeah, it was supported by Manley.
Sorry, I missed it. Okay, so I'm wondering if a compromise might be that if we do let the public speak to whatever they want to speak to at the first call to the public, that either we eliminate the last call to the public or we cut it to 1 minute of speaking time.
I don't know that we can eliminate that last call to the public. I think that last call to the public is
required.
Required by law. And it is actually, when I asked the attorney in regards to it, he says, to abide by the law, to abide by the law, your second call to the public has to be on there. It has to be open to the public to address you on any matters.
So you don't have to have a first call to the public. You don't have to have a
No.
When I asked that question, he said your call to the public at the end of the meeting is required by law.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Nelson, and then Mrs. Zelenock.
So I was looking at this because this has been kind of a contentious point for the entire board. And honestly, I do want to admit personally, I do think that people should be able to say what they want to at the beginning of the meeting. However, I from what I've seen, and I've looked at quite a few boards on this, to me, it's the supervisor's job to set the meeting standard, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. I'll be voting no on this because, again, it's the supervisor's job. It's his meeting, and he should be able to run it the way he wants to. In this case, again, I don't want to change the way the meeting's going. I don't want to change the way the meetings are conducted. I feel like the board overriding the supervisor here is unprecedented, personally, and I will be voting no on this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. You know, and I want us to run the utmost professional meeting we possibly can. Part of that is having a sense of set order to how we conduct our business. And in doing that, I will be extraordinarily professional with the public when they are coming before us in accordance with the agenda as I've stated it. So if there's any, yes, Miss Otto.
So I believe, and I think that while this has been working, the change has been working, I think that when it was called out, it caught the board off guard. And I think the only thing that that took a majority of us off guard is that there was not a discussion on it. Did we need to have a discussion on it? The answer is no, because the board is run by the supervisor, and it is in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. So I just feel that was the only thing that it did. It took everybody off guard. There are a number of, I do know that there are a number of other communities that run it this way, and RB being one of them. We have a number of them that are in our that are adjacent to us that run them the same way. So I just wanted to make that comment that I think the major impact is that we were caught off guard.
And for that, I do apologize. I operate on a no surprises basis as much as I possibly can. And I apologize for not calling closer attention to that specific area of the agenda when I made the change of the agenda, when I took over as supervisor, because I certainly could have called greater attention to it. And for that, I apologize. I
can say, to defend Ken, this has been in place since Ken has taken office. So it wasn't something that was changed after the fact.
Yes. Mrs. Zelenock?
I have several comments. First of all, the agenda says Northfield Township Board of Trustee meeting agenda. It does not say Northfield Township Supervisor meeting agenda. Under the petition and communication, it says, please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. It doesn't say you must limit your comments to what's on the agenda. And it was kind of hit and miss. Sometimes people were able to speak about agenda items and were not able to speak about agenda items. There was not consistency. According to the Opens Meeting Act, requires that, quote, a person shall be permitted to address a meeting of a public body under rules established and recorded by the public body. I am part of that public body. We were not consulted. We did not establish this rule. And under the Open Meeting Acts, we are to establish this rule, not the supervisor. It is the public body.
Okay, I will call Ms. Zelenock's attention to the agenda under petitions and communications. I'm going to correct something you stated. Under citizens' comment, it says, please limit comments to agenda items. It is in there. It's been in there from day one. So it does not say only limit it to 3 minutes. And you said it does not say to agenda items. And it does say to agenda items.
It says, please limit. It doesn't say you must limit. There is a difference. You are asking people to please limit.
Well, we do expect professional
limit.
We do expect professional decorum. Certainly, we try to be as polite as we can.
Well, it should say, you know.
I mean, I'm not going to say, and 3 minutes is what is allowed, but it also gives under the statute discretion to the person operating the meeting to, when necessary or when appropriate, to allow members to speak, just like we can allow Mr. Wagner to address the board when he may not be the exact item on the agenda. When we can allow Ms. Starbuck to come in and be a part of the meeting, that's all discretion, and that's all based on the person who's running the meeting. I try to do that. I try to be as gracious as I can, but I do ask folks to be professional and to abide by the defined guidelines that we do provide. So I don't have anything else to say on that. Ms. Chick?
Yeah, so quickly, I just wanted to say, the board was caught off guard by, we saw this, but I don't think we really paid attention to it, to tell you the truth. But I think it's the public more than us that got caught off guard, because we've never done that before, that when the people come to the meetings, they typically can speak to anything they want to, even if it's something that's not on the agenda, or they can, propose something that we haven't thought of that we might have on another agenda. I'm just saying that it's a difficult adjustment for the public to get used to, and we haven't even been abiding by it since we became the new board. So I get the confusion, I get the frustration and the anger. I hear both sides of it. It makes me a little uncomfortable, or actually a lot uncomfortable, that we're telling people what they can and cannot speak to. So that's all I have right now.
And I'll counter that, Ms. Chick. We are not telling people what they can and cannot speak to. We are simply telling them that we're offering them a second opportunity to speak to the public on items that are going to be deliberated before they're deliberated. They are open to talk to this board about anything they want at the second call to the public. Mr. Moko.
I just wanted to chime in and say, no one's being silenced by this. Let's get our work done, and then let's let people talk. That's what we're here to do. So I side with you, Ken, on this. Let's let people speak to the agenda items, get our work done, and then people can speak to whatever they may want to. It's a change. I was caught off guard, I'm not going to lie, but sometimes change is okay. Let's get some work done. Let's break the cycle of having these meetings go till midnight like they have in years past.
Thank you, Mr. Moko. If there yes, Ms. Chick?
Yeah, just one thing. I have found, because we do this at the Planning Commission meeting as well, that typically when somebody comes to speak to an agenda item, that if they wait until after the item is addressed, then oftentimes whatever they're coming to speak to gets answered if they wait to hear the agenda item as it's discussed. But so that works at the Planning Commission meeting. I understand the public's issue with this as far as it's a big change.
Right. If there are no other comments, I can ask Ms. Manley to call the roll, please.
Check.
Can you repeat the motion? I want to make sure I got the right one. What's the motion?
The motion was stated by Ms. Zelenock that we open the first call to the public to all the public with no limitations, and we remove it as being a reserved call to the public.
Well, yeah, the first call to the public is an open call to the public. The public can
Correct.
comment on anything they would like. The time is limited to 3 minutes per person.
Okay, I'll say no.
Nelson,
No.
Otto,
No.
Moko,
No.
Manley, yes. Dignan,
No.
Zelenock,
Yes.
that fails 5-2.
Okay. Move on. Next item on the agenda is trustee and liaison reports. The supervisor's report is I'm going to be basically I've got a file folder to go over with Dawn King in regards to lots of ordinance enforcement stuff going on in the township. I can report, you may have seen on social media, we have signs that are coming down that are old signs for businesses that haven't existed. The bike shop sign is down. We're working, we got the sign at Margaret and Main down. We're working on getting the Pizza House sign down, and then the Shell Station sign on 6 miles. We're working on trying to get a hold of the owner there to have that one brought down. At the same time, the gas station at East Shore in Maine, I haven't been there in the last several days because I haven't been around, but they did start to try to remove some of the stuff off their windows and have found it to be more challenging. They are the first place we issued a citation to. So we did issue them a citation for their windows. As you know, as you may know, we have an ordinance about 25% coverage with our sign ordinance. They had 100% of every single window surface, door, window, otherwise covered with signs and advertisements. So we're hoping that they come along. And then we've had a few residential complaints, but I have to tell you, the folks in our township that we've talked to that have had these complaints have been very gracious. Neighbors working with neighbors to resolve issues where we haven't had to really get involved much to say, hey, have you talked to them about their fence? Or have you talked to them about their sprinkler system? You know, and folks have been working really, really hard to try to get that together. And that's one of the things that I hope that, and I know that Dawn has the right approach and demeanor to talk to these folks and get those things worked out. That has been an overwhelming amount of my time, plus going over the insurance stuff and meeting with that individual, other things, discussion with downtown building owners. No one's ready to announce anything, but we've got a lot going on. There is something going on at just about every building in town right now. At least every building that's been vacant for a while, there's movement and activity, and folks are applying for building permits and doing work. So it's an exciting time. But that's pretty much it. There's not anything real meaty and all that to report. So hope to get back to a written supervisor's report once we are able to get the duties offloaded as appropriate. So, treasurer's report, Ms. Zelenock.
Sir, I just want to remind everybody that tax bills are going to go out, and anything due for the newsletter needs to be to the printer no later than Thursday, June 17th, as far as that goes. And we are in the process of sending out delinquent personal property notices. It's always a fun time. And just a reminder that Ms. Hofstas will be going on maternity leave, so we'll be short staff, obviously, one person for a while. And then as far as the financial report, we do have a couple CDs that are coming due. I plan on reinvesting them. Again, I don't expect the interest rates to be what they were, but it just keeps a little diversification in our portfolio. So those are my comments. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Zelenock. Clerk's report, Ms. Stanley.
Yeah, just a reminder, sewer bills have been sent out and those are due by June 2nd. And then to all the employees and or managers out there, if you can just please reinstate your employees to let Christina know a personal email for My Pay Solutions. We need a personal email on there, so in case you are no longer with Northfield, then you can access your account. We've had this issue come up a couple of times, so we just need to get that done. And again, just thanks to the board and everyone for allowing us to hire April. And she'll be starting as soon as possible. So if you're around, stop in and say hi. She's an awesome woman. So thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Manley. And the Planning Commission report. Ms.
Yep,
Chick?
there's no planning commission written one in our packet. I did make the report of the only one meeting we had in April, on April 7th at our last meeting. If you want, I will repeat that. There was 2 public hearings. One was Chestnut Development's request to rezone from low-density residential to multifamily residential for a planned unit development, PUD, and that failed 4-3. And then the second was to a motion to send the PUD to the board with conditions for their approval. So I want to make it clear, because it came up at the Planning Commission, that the Planning Commission did not approve the PUD. We cannot approve a PUD. We can only recommend. We didn't. The only recommendation we made was to send it to the board for their approval. So to make that clear, we did not recommend. And I wanted to bring something up, though, that we did have at our last meeting. We talked about the electronic meetings, and there was a suggestion made that we kind of standardize between all of the commissions and boards that we have, how we manage those meetings as far as the different type, like, do you want to turn chat rooms on or turn them off and disable different things or not? So I'm going to actually put that on our next agenda to have a discussion on how we want to manage those meetings so that we're all doing the same thing. Or, we can decide what we want to do. And if another board or commission wants to customize it for their needs, like the DDA might need different functions than the board does, they can do that. But I think we just need a discussion.
I think that's a great idea, Ms. Chick, that we do that and standardize. I know the chat rooms have been on and off depending on. I'm not sure, but certainly we should find that maybe our first meeting in June or something. We can do that. Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions for Ms. Chick? All right. Next item is ZBA report. Looks like there was no ZBA meeting.
Nothing to report. No ZBA meeting.
Okay. Parks and Rec, Ms. Otto, anything?
So for Parks and Rec, the only thing that I have to comment on is our meeting minutes usually don't get done until prior to the next meeting. So I do have to work with the Parks and Rec to make sure that the minutes are done right after our board meeting, that they're not held up, over a month in advance just to get them on the next meeting's agenda for approval. So with that, we did have our meeting in April. The community garden, there were several boxes that were destroyed, and they have worked on those to get them repaired. They are installing some new boxes, so because we have additional people that wanted garden plots. They also installed 4 or 6, I don't remember.
6
galvanized raised beds containers. They will be putting up a new sign and new fencing. So that should be coming. In regards to North Village, back in March, the board approved that the Parks and Rec Committee spend $1,300 to repair the park area. Chief Wagner brought it to my attention that the volunteers weren't able to do the work. Situations happened and they're not able to do the work at this time. So J&M was having problems with cutting the grass and they will repair it. The repair work will be between $500 and $600.
Oh, you're muted, Miss Otto.
The cat did it too.
My cat just got up. The repair for it quoted by J&M would be between $500 and $600. So that would be less than the $1,300 that was approved. But that money, the $1,300, from my understanding, came out of the general fund and not out of the Parks and Rec budget. So, disc golf. Disc golf will be installed this month.
Great.
So they have all the equipment ready for installation.
All right. Awesome. Any questions? Yes, Miss Chick and then Miss Zelenock.
I mentioned it to Jackie earlier today, and I don't know if it's a Park and Rec things or since J&M was brought up. Can we do something, please, about the flagpole in front of the public safety building? That area there looks terrible. It's weeds around the flagpole in front of the building. Hi, Bill.
Mr. Wagner?
Yeah, I talked to Jason about that a couple weeks ago. He's really behind on mowing and catching up on stuff. So I did talk to him about that. I don't think any of the bushes got trimmed last year. So we walked around all of the township properties and talked about what needed to get done. So, and that was one of them that needs attention. So
I thought about cementing it over.
Yeah, I agree. And I actually replaced the flag there today. It was getting pretty tattered too. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. All right, Ms. Zelenock and then Miss Manley.
So tell me, Miss Otto, about the 1,300 again.
The 1,300 was approved to fix the park. It was proposed back. It was proposed.
Right.
March, April.
Right. And so was the motion to take it out of the general fund?
No, at the time, I think at that time, the repair, since the park repair, the park does not belong to the Parks and Rec Committee. The park belongs to the township. So at that time, that 1,300 was supposed to come out of the general fund.
Is that what the motion said? I'm just asking because
that's what I recall that it said.
Okay. Because we do obviously they do have funding to maintain like the dog park as well as the community garden. So I'd have to go look at the motion. I just wanted clarification on that.
That's what I.
But anyways, J&M repair will repair it for $500 to $600.
Yeah.
So that is we have some savings there.
Okay. All right, Miss Manley.
Yeah, since we're talking about the front of the building, can we bring up in the future the sign out front? How we can't read it. It looks pretty rough, pretty bad. So
a couple of things on the sign. Right now, the library's replacing their sign. I know that the community center, senior center, has been talking to Brownie Sign about signs, and if we're all going to be looking at signs, we need to do this collectively as a township, so things look consistent across all of our township assets, in my opinion. But Miss Otto and.
So the only thing that I would ask is if we are looking at the sign, and this is probably Jennifer or my wish list, because we put up the Christmas decorations each year, is that we would love to have lights in the evergreen trees in the front. We can't do it because we don't have outlets up front. So if we do anything like that, we would love to see if we could have an outlet put in.
Okay. I was asked also about moving our sign because a lot of people felt the township sign location was useless because nobody can see it from the road.
Well, I think with the overgrown,
by all the trees and
all the trees are overgrown.
Yeah, it's the trees. And Mr. Wagner, did you have something to add?
Yeah, real quick, just because I was having a quote on some sign stuff out at Fire Station 2, I asked the guy to quote a new digital sign at Station 1. And I think it was between $25,000 and $30,000, which was a lot more than what I expected. So
that's what the library, I think the library just approved $25,000 for their digital sign.
And that's without moving it. I know some people want it moved. That was just replacing. But to Ms. Otto, we could actually get a plug installed from the electrical on the current sign right now. That would be
I know.
That would be really easy to do.
Yeah.
And that would be make us very happy.
Okay. Yeah, I can get that taken care of.
That's not a problem. All right. But yeah, I think we definitely, at the very least, we're going to need to pump some TLC into that existing sign. If not, look at replacing it. I do know that those digital signs, basically for ones that are supported and made domestically, which you really want because you want a 5-year warranty on them at least. They run $25,000 a piece. That's a lot of money. And, if dollars come down from Washington and Lansing to support better ways of communicating, maybe that someday that could happen. But I can't see spending $25,000 on a sign instead of on roads right now. So, but that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I think, I don't want to put anything into your guys' mouths. So, but I know that some of you have shared a similar sentiment with me. So, all right. Next is the Land Preservation Committee report. Ms. Zelenock.
Yes, a reminder about our spring hike on May 22nd. You can sign up for it. We have 3 times. It is going to be, again, Washtenaw County Parks and Recs are going to be there to take us on a wildflower tour to identify different items in the park. And again, I would like to congratulate Judith Moldenhauer for applying and being approved for the land preservation. And again, thank Julia Henshaw for her outstanding service.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Zelenock? All right, hearing none. The next item on the agenda is the announcement that at the next board meeting is a public hearing only. It's on May 25th. There is nothing else on the agenda. There is no other business that is being delineated. I've included a copy of the special public hearing agenda in the packet for everyone to see. The intent is to get right into our meeting, have our public hearing, give the folks for and the folks against an opportunity to address us and to hear from the individual before us. Public notice was sent out again, and the signs that have remained up since the first public hearing were adjusted and now and have reflected the information actually for over a week now. So they were done, and that's it. The meeting will start at our regular time at 7 o'clock. So anyone have any questions on that? All right. Next is petitions and communications from the public. So if there's anyone from the public that would like to address the board at this time, you may do so. You have 3 minutes. You can address the board on any subject you see fit. Just raise your hand and we will call on you one at a time. All right. Etley? Yep.
Yeah, that's me, Adam Etley.
Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, guys.
You're recognized for 3 minutes.
Yep, I was just wanted to first, thank you for your service. And I really did want to bring up the property behind my house. And if there was any chance that I can get any portion of that for buffering from the park and help the park or any future development that may be just coming right down my neck here. So I love it the way it is. I really want to keep it that way. And if there's any opportunity, I spoke to Karen, my neighbor, and she can either be on board with this or not. I could just take the chunk behind us, whatever that might be. So I just wanted to hear your guys' comments on, if there is a possibility and if maybe we need to wait until we see what might happen with the park, what it might look like before we make any sort of decisions. But I just wanted to hear that we're, the answer is not no yet, I suppose. So I just wanted to have a conversation.
Mr. Etley, would you be
Yes.
willing to share your address for the record?
Yes, it's 9699 Main Street, and I'm right in between the Stone House and the post office.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming out and speaking with us today. Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Anyone else that would like to address the board may do so at this time by raising your hand. Okay. Hang on just a moment. Mr. Gronow, go right ahead. Oh, hang on. There we go. Get you on mute. There you are. You're unmuted. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to provide the board a quick update. As I get information, I'd just like to share it. Today, the geotechnical engineers, as a result of the 12-inch well that we drilled this is all state required stuff for the water. Should we be successful here? PFAS is a big issue, and I was waiting with bated breath to see if the 12-inch well produced any PFAS, which I know several people have brought up as a concern in the call to the public. So I just want to report to the board that the PFAS percentage as a part of the water column in that part of the township, just, for general township knowledge, is 0.0%. PFAS is a big deal all over the state of Michigan. So I was a little surprised to see that there wasn't just a little bit of PFAS. I thought there would be some. It's very treatable, but it is incredibly, there is 0% PFAS for the public water supply that'll be there. The other thing, I know we have incredible communication going with the township. I really appreciate that. I know folks can agree to disagree agreeably, which is really good. It's a result of good communication with everyone. One more thing I wanted to make clear to the board: the dog park, which is proposed for our project. I am a supporter of open space, a community benefit, and things that benefit the community at large, not just the community we're proposing. The dog park is something people should really look at. We are providing a cool little training and competition dog park here for people to go and have fun with their dogs and pets. I think this could be an incredible community benefit. We're considering making the dog park, instead of private for residents, we're considering making it open to the public. The reason we're doing that is because it would be a really new and innovative idea to open that dog park for training and challenge course for all pet owners in Northfield Township to participate there. And we would like to host or propose that we host community events there for competition and awards, just to have fun with your pet. There's no money involved, but that's something we'd like the board to know about. We're considering it. And at our next meeting, we're going to talk a little more about that. So that's it. That's all I had. Just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gronow. Appreciate your time. Okay. Next individual. Karen, Alexa, you have been, go ahead and address the board. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you again for listening to me. Hearing about the well that is being dug across the street from me. I'm curious what repercussions I would have should he mess with my water supply, because I too am on a well. Are those things considered when the board agrees to allow this kind of development? And again, I asked about whether or not there was a cost analysis done for this development. I did look up today and realize that Northfield Township low-income housing rate is 15% in our housing. The average, it's more than double the rate in Washtenaw County of 4% and double the state average of 5%. We wonder why our tax base is so high, because we don't have middle-class subdivisions like what we had when we flourished in the 90s. And I beg you to again reduce this development across the street to something that would blend in nicely. Thank you. Again, Karen Alexa, 7210 Whitmore Lake Road.
Thank you, Ms. Alexa.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. All right, next individual, Ms. Dolens. You're recognized. You're muted. Just unmute. Ms. Dolens, are you there? Ms. Dolens?
The name is Dolens, yes.
Yes, go ahead. You're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you. My address is 350 North Territorial Road West, Ann Arbor. I'm a Northfield Township resident. I thank you for giving me the time to speak, and I'm glad that I am following up on Karen Alexa's comments, because I also am a neighbor to the land where the drilling is going to go on for this well, and I presume that there might be effects on my well water, and I have no idea what that will be, and I would like to know what that could be. I'm also concerned about what kinds of chemicals they'll be using if they're building, and how that will affect my property and my water. And I'd also like to know what evaluations you've done about how the housing development will affect the quality and the value of our houses. So Karen Alexa and I live nearby, and it could reduce the value of our properties considerably by having this housing development. So what evaluations have you done so far about that for all of the neighbors to this housing development? And again, just like Karen, I would urge you and Mr. Gronow to reduce the density of the housing to make it both affordable for people, but also a nicer place for everybody to live. There's no reason to have people piled on top of each other. And I don't think that it's going to help the tax base. In fact, it will hurt it from all of my investigations that by having small, tiny rentals, people are not going to be paying much rent, and we will be putting out more in services than we will be in helping our tax base. So those are my arguments and questions and comments, and thank you for your time and for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Dolens. We appreciate you coming out. Okay. All right. Let's see. Mr. Gronow, are you there? You have about 1 minute left of your time. If you had something.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that opportunity. I'll try to make this fast. So I'm going to talk fast. Ms. Dolens, I'm just going to address a couple of your questions. The drilling result, and I'm so sorry I didn't cover this earlier. Incredibly, the 12-inch well was drilled from last Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. to Friday morning at 7 p.m., nonstop at 400 gallons per minute. They reported to me there was no drawdown in the underground aquifer. That means we have an abundant, incredible supply of water underneath Northfield Township. Really cool. The chemicals, during construction, there are no chemicals. Nothing will be put into the groundwater during construction. Number 3, housing values. You're thinking about maybe this could reduce my value. Nothing could be further from the truth. Property values as a result of our project, I absolutely can substantiate with facts to you from my real estate career, will increase, not decrease your property value. Reducing density. You said making things more affordable. Reducing
You got about 10 seconds, sir.
Reducing density makes things less affordable, not more affordable, because you amortize the cost of the development over fewer units rather than more units, and I respect my time.
Right. Thank you. We normally don't have this back and forth. Ms. Dolens, you did have about a minute left of your time.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome to address us.
Thank you very much. As much as I appreciate Mr. Gronow's comments, I would like to see actual data rather than just take someone's word for something. I'm happy to look at the data and to discuss it with him. But again, looking at data would help both me and everybody else in the area to see this. So if he has the data to show us, then that would be great. And you don't know whether or not that affected our wells. So whether or not the drilling affected our wells, and I'd be happy to discuss that with you at some other point, obviously not when we're taking up everybody else's time. But I do consider that the quality and the value of my property will be going down if there's commercial property built right around it. And that's what you have on your plans. So I don't see how that will raise my property value. Thank you very much for your time again. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't see any other hands raised at this time. With that, we'll go to any board member comments. If any board members have any comments or clarifications. Mr. Nelson.
I did want to comment once again regarding Chestnut. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Gronow. Thank you, everyone, for speaking tonight, voicing your opinions. I really appreciate that. Again, I think I can say for the rest of the board, we're trying to figure all this out. Too. This is something new for us. This is something we're trying to do step by step. I can say for myself, I myself have not made a final decision regarding anything so far. Please keep your comments coming. Please keep sending stuff. I want to learn. I want to understand as much as you do. I want to see data. From what I understand, from what I have seen, regarding Mr. Gronow's previous developments, they are quite nice developments, right? And then there's quite a few different aspects of this is going to be a big change for the township if it does go forward. I think we all can agree on that, and we are trying to make this trying to make a responsible decision. There's a lot of factors at play. It's going to affect a lot of people, and we want to make sure that decision is made properly. So please feel free to contact us. I'm sure any of us will be more than happy to oblige and listen and talk to you and make sure this gets sorted out and make sure a responsible decision is made. We want to serve you, not the other way around.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I will just share any of my interactions that I've had with Mr. Gronow. He has been very transparent and forthcoming with information, concerns that I've raised. I encourage the public that is out there that has those concerns, especially about information that Mr. Gronow has shared here, to reach out to his office, reach out to him. I know that he has said he personally would be more than happy to talk to residents in the area as well. I think it's important to do that. I think it's important for you to be able to do that, and appreciate his candor and being available to the public in the way that he has been and is going forward. That's a big deal. I do want folks to understand the township does not regulate your groundwater, does not regulate your well, does not regulate the things revolving around that. It is the state of Michigan that has the greatest say in that, and it is Washtenaw County Health Department that is the responsible party for dealing with your well. We have no real jurisdiction over that as a township, as a governmental body. And I know that that may not be what folks want to hear, but that is the way it is set up through the laws of the state of Michigan, and a township that does not provide municipal water services, as Northfield Township does not. So those are my comments. Ms. Chick?
Yep. I would like to welcome Kristen Hatfield to the DDA. I think she'll be a wonderful member. April Lantinen, as well as our election specialist. And anything, if any of us can help her with anything, have her, contact any one of us. And also Ms. Moldenhauer, am I saying that right? I wanted to welcome her as well to the Land Preservation Committee and thank Julia Henshaw for all of the work that she has done. She's been a good steward of Northfield Township, and I appreciate her efforts in everything that she's done for us. And to our speakers from the public today, I wanted to, and probably the board too, that should this get through the Chestnut development, get through preliminary approval from the board, they have to go through multiple agencies in order to even get to final approval stage before they go to the Planning Commission and the board again. This isn't the end of their journey. They have to go through the EGLE, they have to go through DNR, they got to go through Washtenaw County Road Commission, they got to go through MDOT, whoever else has, whatever touches that property, they have to have agency approvals. And if they don't get an approval, then there's an issue. So I understand why people want to worry about their water, but the state's looking out for them, and they will make sure that if this is a problem, if Chestnut comes in, they don't get to move. So there will be studies, multiple studies done before we get to the point where they get to final approval. And to the board, I wanted to also, before you might want to educate yourself if you haven't so far, watch a Planning Commission meeting. There were concerns from some of the commissioners. Mr. Gronow, I think, addressed many of them at the meeting then, and conditions were placed that they still have to meet. Look at the zoning ordinance, which is township law. It supersedes the master plan. Look at zoning ordinance for PUDs and for the zoning for the area, and the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act regarding PUDs as well. That's going to help you make a good objective decision. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Chick. I concur with welcoming the new staff on board. Ms. Otto?
Yeah, I wanted to welcome Kristen Hatfield to the DDA. I think she would be a very great and knowledgeable person on the DDA. I want to welcome Miss Moldenhauer to the Land Preservation Committee, and also thank Julia for all her efforts in getting the Land Preservation Committee up and going. And then I also wanted to make an announcement about the 4th of July parade. The Kiwanis is going to have the 4th of July parade on Saturday, July 3rd. This is a little different than previous years. We've always had the parade on July 4th, but this year, because it is on a Sunday, we made the decision to move it to a Saturday, so we would not have traffic issues with local churches, and the churches would not have to change their service hours in order to participate in the parade.
Thank you, Ms. Otto. That was noted. I can tell you that. So, Mr. Moko, anything?
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Kristen and Judith. None of these committees are glamorous committees, unpaid volunteers, and we definitely thank you for your service. It's well appreciated. The other thing is, I went to the open house for the for the Chestnut developments. I went to the one under construction, saw a few faces out there. That was on M59. Went to the open development down southwest of there. Anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm not going to go into anything right now, but I'll be glad to give you my honest opinion. So it was nice to see some faces out there. For or against it. It was nice to go out there and see. It's hard to make a decision based on hopes and dreams. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moko. Ms. Zelenock?
Yes, I would like to thank all the members of the public for waiting around to get their comments in. I think we sent a message that they're no longer first. And I would also ask that all board members either have a written report or have a note that they didn't have a meeting, because I think if we're concerned about handling business, that would certainly help us handle our business more efficiently. And again, welcome to all the new members of the boards, Miss Moldenhauer and Miss Hatfield, and our new employee, Miss Lantinen. Did I get that right? So I look forward to meeting her.
Thank you, Ms. Zelenock. Ms. Manley?
Just like everyone else, welcome to all the new board members. Nice to have you here. And to go along with what Josh said, again, about the development, keep your letters coming. We definitely read them. We want to hear your opinions and know what you need to say. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll just, I've got two small things. First is I want to make a correction to the signboards that the library is looking at. They ranged from 20,000 to 40,000, and the library chose to go with one that was 40,000. I don't know the reasons behind all of that. That would be something for the library board to share with you. But that detail was shared by one of the library board members at the last DDA meeting. Also, I want to thank everyone from the public for coming out. I also want to make sure that once again, I state that there is a public hearing on the 25th. That public hearing is the only thing on the agenda. I think it is something that this board may want to consider actually as a policy, that when we have a public hearing for anything that rises to the level of needing a public hearing, that the public hearing be the exclusive item on the agenda on those nights. I understand that for us, that may mean having an extra meeting sometimes here and there during the month, but I think that hearing from the public at a public hearing is important enough that we dedicate the night to them and allow them to come before and tell us their thoughts, their concerns, and listen to what they have to say. And that's all I have for this evening. With that, any other comments? Ms. Chick, go right ahead.
I just want to add to that. That's an excellent idea. And Jackie and I Miss Otto and I actually attended a Green Oak meeting at one point, and that's what they did. They were having a public hearing, and that's all they did. They had the public hearing for the purpose of listening to the public. In fact, they chose to even not decide that night so that they could listen to the people and then deliberate, and think about it and then come back and have a meeting on the issue. But yeah, the public hearing should be just for that issue. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chick. All right. Is there a motion? Yes, Mrs. Zelenock.
So I think if we do that, we'd want to think about the public hearing, because obviously we have a public hearing on the budget. And so
okay.
that would
Fair
be
enough.
the only item on that night.
Maybe if it's a zoning public hearing, I don't know. Well, this is a good discussion, though.
I think you want to give it some consideration, because I think more people should come out and look at and talk about the budget, because it's certainly how we expend their funds. It hasn't been done in the past where a lot of people have come and made comments. So I think if we do a policy or look at it, there might be specific items that we want to include or exclude depending on the item. Unfortunately, like I said, it'd be great if more people came out and talked about the budget, because it is their money and how we spend it. But usually that has not been the case.
I agree. Thank you. That's great. I mean, this will be a good item for discussion, I think, down the road. Mr. Nelson?
Just a quick follow up on that. I think that's a great idea to have a public hearing on the budget. Maybe if we do that, if we do something like that, would it be potentially possible to get a simplified report of the budget for the public, just to see a grand overview of what money is being allocated, where the most important changes? I think that'd be very helpful for someone that's coming into the meeting and would want to know what's going on instead of having to look through the whole budget. Just a thought.
Kind of a consolidated. I mean, we kind of do that to some extent. Ms. Zelenock, did you want to say something on that?
So, I mean, it's a requirement. It's
legal. Yeah, we do have.
You have to have a public hearing on the budget, so we do that and have done it to meet the state statute. I mean, that would be something we could ask Ms. Starbuck to do, something similar to the audit, because when we do the audit, they do graphs on key components of the audit. And we might want to do graphs similar to how the audit graphs are. So I would make them pretty much like that. So to get a consolidation, and I agree with you, Mr. Nelson, it would be good to have a graph or something consolidated. And it might be that we look at how the audit's presented for major items and follow that as a practice going forward on the budget.
I'd really like that. That's a great idea.
So I think Mr. Dignan, Ms. Starbuck.
Ms. Starbuck, no, I will do that, and we'll work together on that.
Yeah,
she's not, but I will make sure to convey that to her.
A good starting point might be how the audit, to duplicate the audit graphs.
Yep, definitely. All right. I have one more question for Ms. Chick, just to confirm. The joint training session that's taking place again is what date?
19th.
The 19th. And just so the public knows, all right, that's a joint training session between the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and board members that they're choosing to be there.
And the board, yeah.
And it will be published as a meeting for all three bodies in the event that there's a quorum of any of our board or any of those two boards there. And the public is welcome to attend it because it is a public meeting. But it is the only thing they're doing that night is the training, if I'm remembering correctly.
It'll be about 2 hours, and Vidya Krishnan will be doing it since Ms. Konecki is gone. But it is May 19th at 7 p.m.
All right. I just wanted to confirm that. With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there support?
Support.
Okay. I think there's support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Have a great evening.
Have a good night.